We have got breaking news tonight out of Talbot County. Maryland State Police have made an arrest in connection with an armed robbery at a bank that happened on Tillman Island today. WBOC's Mid-Shore Bureau Chief Brian Spyros joins us now live outside Maryland State Police Barracks in Easton. And Brian, State Police say they searched for this suspect car by car, and eventually they got him.
Well, Don, State Police set up checkpoints along Route 33 between Tillman Island and Easton today, trying to catch that suspect in case he was trying to flee the area in a car. But State Police confirmed just a few moments ago that they arrested the suspect at a home in St. Michael's earlier today.
The commotion all began in Talbot County around 3 this afternoon after Maryland State Police say a man went into this Talbot bank on Tillman Island and robbed it. With only one road in the area, State Police set up barricades and began searching car by car to make sure the robber wasn't trying to make a getaway.
There were 3 cop cars in the middle of the road just like checking and looking in everybody's window.
It kind of makes me nervous, but I feel like it's such a secure area.
They were looking for the person, and that's basically all he said to me, which was kind of unsettling because obviously there's only one way in and one way out.
A reverse 911 was also sent out to everyone in the area, warning them of what was going on.
The bank in Tillman was recently held up by a white male. He is approximately 5 foot 6 inches tall, wearing a dark-colored sweatshirt and dark mirrored sunglasses. He is driving a dark, short-bed pickup truck, possibly gray. Do not approach, as he is armed and dangerous.
Michelle Lewis of St. Michael's says she got one of those messages at her home.
I have a lot of outbuildings, and I just was worried about, obviously, someone like himself coming on the property. It's scary, that's for sure.
Maryland State Police later towed away this gray pickup truck at a home in St. Michael's, although police are not saying if this truck was used in the Talbot County bank robbery on Tillman Island.
Now, Maryland State Police have not released the identity of this bank robbery suspect. They say that charges are expected to be filed in the coming hours. We're reporting live from the Mid-Shore. Brian Spyros, WBOC News, Easton.
And WBOC's Brian Spyros is live with us in Ocean City. And Brian, you reported about a half hour ago conditions were deteriorating. I see you're outside now. How are things looking?
Well, Alice, right now the rain has slowed down, but the wind is still whipping so hard at times you actually feel like you're going to get thrown right off of your feet. And because of the wind, Ocean City Police have been ordered to remain stationary throughout the city. They're still out on the streets, but again, they are remaining stationary. Now, earlier today, we went for a ride along with the Ocean City Police. While we were out there with them, we noticed that a lot of the streets were completely flooded. There was a lot of debris in them. We even went down by the inlet area, and as you can imagine, the waves were barreling in so much that almost the entire beach and the parking lot right along the boardwalk was completely flooded. Now, earlier we also spoke with the captain of the Ocean City Beach Patrol. He tells us that because of beach conditions this year, it may actually help minimize damage once the storm moves out of the area.
The beach was wider this year than it's ever been. Our beach was in better shape and better condition to sustain any kind of event like this than ever.
Now, all week we've been telling you about shelters and how they were all being set up for people who may have needed them. We know that there are nearly 400 people here in Worcester County who are using the various shelters that are being offered. And as we head into the evening and in the early morning hours, the wind, the rain is expected to intensify. So your best bet is, of course, to stay indoors. We're reporting live tonight from Ocean City. Alice and Steve are going to send it back to you in the Newsplex.
Let's begin with Brian, who was in one of the worst spots that you want to be during an earthquake. Brian?
Well, Steve, my photographer and I were actually driving over the Choptank River Bridge when our car began to shake and sway back and forth. We thought it was maybe the wind or something was wrong with the car, but once we got into Cambridge, we saw people pouring out onto the streets and realized that all the commotion was the result of an earthquake. It was business as usual in downtown Cambridge this afternoon until Mother Nature caused some tense moments.
All of a sudden, the whole building just swayed.
Stephanie Malkus was working inside her store, Sugar Magnolia, when the earthquake hit.
The way it was swaying, I panicked and I ran out, and the 2 customers I had in the store at the time, we all ran out, and I saw everybody. I panicked. I was nervous.
And she wasn't alone.
The walls started shaking and the lights started moving back and forth, and bottles started rattling, and I just told everybody to get out of the building, and everybody ran out into the street.
The rattling even caused some concern at the county courthouse, where everyone thought inmates were fighting on another floor.
The whole building started shaking, and we thought that they was fighting upstairs, and then the state troopers started running.
And while some figured the ground shaking was the result of an earthquake, others had no clue what had happened.
I figured it had to be something like an earthquake, you know. I've never felt anything like that before.
The shelves just started shaking. I mean, I literally thought the building was coming down. I mean, I'd never seen anything, experienced anything like it. The ground under my feet was shaking.
I was shocked at first, so I wasn't nervous then, but now I'm like feeling a little bit like, oh my God, like it was an earthquake, so I don't know, but it is scary.
After the quake, cell phone lines became so overloaded that many people weren't able to make or receive phone calls. Now, no major damage has been reported as a result of the earthquake. However, Chesapeake College did cancel all of their day and evening classes as a result of the quake at both their Y Mills and Cambridge campuses. We're reporting live tonight from the Midshore. Brian Spyros, WBOC News, Cambridge.
As the sun came up on a crisp and clear September morning, many people were busy getting ready for their day ahead.
For those of us who lived through it, September 11th, 2001 is a day we will never forget. But for these young faces at Greensboro Elementary School, it's a part of history that they can only learn about. Some of them know bits and pieces already.
Family members dying and planes crashing.
The day that the planes crashed into Twin Towers and they blew them up.
Some have heard about that day from family.
It means to me that the planes crashed into the 2 Twin Towers and how many people died.
Others from television.
It means that the terrorists attacked the Twin Towers and people started to jump out windows and the buildings collapsed.
But these fourth graders are also learning about the 9/11 attacks from their teacher, Tamra Bowers.
I think I kind of wrote the book out of pride for the country, and I wanted to instill that in the students that I teach.
Bowers wrote a children's book shortly after September 11th called The World Will Never Forget. It gives the details of that day in a way a child would understand.
We want to present them with the facts, and sometimes the facts are a little bit much, but we can bring it down to their level.
She would read the book to her class every year, but now it has become much more than that. The book has been published, and Bowers' words have been brought to life through illustrations.
It's very humbling, really.
Caroline County resident Renee Bushel illustrated the book using her artistic ability. It took her a little over a month to come up with the 33 images inside the book, a process that Bushel says at times was reliving.
Of course, I wanted to go back and look at media pictures of the day that it happened and how I could translate it onto a page that wouldn't be too scary.
It was a moment in our history that we captured, and I thought it was really important to teach kids about that historic day.
A day that will now live on for these students and others across the country, thanks to a teacher who is remembering a piece of the past for future generations.
Americans will never forget. As the sun came up on a crisp and clear September morning.
Reporting from the Midshore, Brian Spyros, WBOC News, Greensboro.
And Brian, this accident happened while students were on their way to a field trip on this beautiful spring day.
That's right, Kelly. We'll get to those details in just a moment. We're actually standing right down the street from where this accident happened, as you said, right along Route 213 at the corner of White Marsh Road. If you take a look behind me, you can actually see the police are blocking off the road still while they investigate. Now, we know 17 people had to be sent to the hospital, one of them by medevac. We have video from Chopper 16 of the bus where it flipped over earlier this morning. It's lying on its right side in a ditch. Maryland State Police said just a short time ago in a press conference that apparently a Volkswagen SUV swerved in front of the bus, causing the driver to then lose control. A very frightening ordeal for the kids from Wharton Elementary School who were on their way to the Washington, D.C. Zoo when this happened for a field trip. Now, there was a second bus following the one that flipped over. The people on that bus were students and adults, and they had to be taken back to Wharton Elementary School by school bus, where we know that parents were waiting for them, and we do have video of that from Chopper 16 as that bus was pulling up, and all of the students and chaperones and teachers who were on board were escorted inside the school. Now, we spoke to a parent who was actually a chaperone on that second bus. She told us that after the accident had occurred and the bus flipped, the second bus slammed on its brakes, and all of the parents realized what had happened at that point. That's when they ran off the bus to go assist the children and the teachers who were on the first bus that flipped. And she said as they were doing that, students were already starting to come out of the emergency exit window on that bus. She said they were obviously very shaken. They were crying. She said that some of them were injured. Nothing she saw appeared to be life-threatening. And again, 17 people were taken to the hospital, one of them by medevac. We will continue to follow this story, and we'll have much more for you tonight on WBOC News. And, of course, you can always log on for the latest to WBOC.com. We're reporting live from the Midshore. Brian Spyros, WBOC News, Centerville.